just got my concert posters that I made printed and I'm really excited. I think they turned out pretty good. Check this out. So here it is. I'm really happy with it. So the painting that I used is actually one that was made by Walter Gramatté, who was Sonia's first husband. And he was a really talented artist, and he made some amazing kind of graphic paintings of Sonia. He also did some watercolors and some oil paintings, but I chose this one because I really liked it. And then I just kind of added the writing on top. So now I just have to kind of go around the campus and start hanging them up everywhere and hope that people are going to come. The other work that is left to do for my concert, aside from practicing of course, is that I have to keep kind of going through all the material I have. The slideshow, which is like paintings by Walter, some images of Sonia kind of throughout her life, some photos, and things like concert programs and concert reviews and kind of newspaper articles about Sonia that have been kind of archived and documented. So I want to kind of get them all laid out in a nice order and put them into the slideshow. So there's still quite a lot of work to do with that. But I've got the concert posters done, so I just hope that people will come and it will be a successful concert. Hi again. So I know I haven't really talked a lot about the kind of structure and timetable situation here at Banff, and that's honestly because there isn't really one. We're all here to do our own self-directed work and work on our own projects, so every day is kind of up to us to do as we choose, and with every moment we can make our own kind of decisions and our own choices about how we want to use it. There is one really cool thing, and that's that every week we get a new faculty member who is here to kind of give us advice or insights or thoughts on our project or what we could change or do better. And so this week we're really lucky to have this amazing jazz trumpeter called Dave Douglas here. And we've just come out of a workshop with him and it was really inspiring, so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about it. So he played us a lot of his own music that he's written, which was really cool, and he also talked a lot about how he composes, and especially how he composes for improvisers. And so what he'll kind of do is he'll get to know how his friends and his colleagues play and how they improvise, and then that kind of feeds into his composition, and he'll think about that when he's writing his music, and he'll think about who he wants to play various different styles of things. So I thought that was really interesting. But another question that got asked, and it's just kind of stuck with me, was to do with what's going on in the world right now, and how to kind of stay motivated when you have things like Trump and racism and sexism and all the other monstrous, horrible things that are going on. You know, how do we as artists justify our art? How do we find the space to create it, and how do we feel okay with taking the luxury of focusing on our own art instead of what's happening outside? And I thought what he said was really interesting, because he said, you know, there's always a space for us and our music, and it's really important because us as musicians, we have the power to uplift people, and you know, it's humanity, it's pure humanity, and that's more important now than ever. And what we have to say as artists and as musicians is more long-lasting, has more reach, has more meaning, and has more effect than anything that Trump has to say. Dave also talked a lot about you know, inequality for women, and that really got me thinking about my project, because Sonia faced huge challenges as a woman. More often than not, her compositions just got completely rejected because the name on them was a woman's name. So she actually took to signing her compositions by just S. Eckhardt-Gramatté so that people wouldn't know that she was a woman. There was this one famous story of when her first string quartet got premiered in Dusseldorf, and the audience had no idea that it was written by a woman. So they absolutely loved it. The quartet was met with this rapturous applause after it finished. And then when Sonia got on stage to take her bow, the whole fell completely silent because the audience was so shocked that this music had been written by a woman. I'm just inserting this extra clip in here because I forgot to say in the last clip that Sonia even started to dress in male clothing and kind of present herself in a very masculine way just so that she would be taken seriously in this industry. I'll insert a picture of her here so that you can see. I've just started reading this really interesting book called The Eckharts in Winnipeg, A Cultural Legacy. And there's a quote from Sonia in it which I thought would be really fitting just to put in here. She says this: "Too often I have found when I submitted my compositions as a woman, the examiners glanced at my name, murmured kindly, 'Ah, from a woman, we'll look at her little effort later, if we get around to it.' I do not mind people knowing I am a woman after they know my music, but before that, the handicap of sex is too great." And honestly, I don't think the world has really changed much since then, which is kind of crazy. I mean, there's a reason that people don't know Sonia and don't know her work. And just imagine all the other women composers and musicians and artists out there that we've never heard of simply because they're a woman and they got forgotten about. So I think it's really important to keep asking these questions. Why don't we know these women? Why don't we know their work? Why don't we play it? These aren't questions that should be forgotten. They should be asked over and over again. And, you know, I hope that with my project, someone who had never heard of Sonia will get to know her and be inspired to play her music, because it is wonderful music and it should be heard and it should be played.